Most people think they're exhausted because of work. They're not. They're exhausted because they've spent years unconsciously adjusting themselves to everybody else. Different rooms, different personalities, different expectations, different emotional climates. And eventually, they stop knowing who they are when nobody else is around. I think one of the biggest hidden causes of burnout in modern life is external referencing. Not overwork, not ambition, not discipline. External referencing. Meaning, your identity, emotional state, and sense of self become dependent on reactions outside of you. Approval, validation, attention, acceptance, understanding. And most people don't even realise they're doing it because society rewards it. From childhood, we are conditioned to scan. Am I accepted? Am I safe? Am I liked? Am I disappointing people? Am I too much? Am I enough? So the nervous system becomes externally orientated, constantly monitoring, constantly adjusting, constantly shape-shifting. And after years of that, people wonder why they feel drained all the time. Because imagine trying to hold stability internally while your nervous system is reacting to every emotional weather pattern around you. That's exhausting. And I think this is why so many people now feel disconnected from themselves. Not because they're broken, because they've become adaptive beyond recognition. External referencing can look like over-explaining, people-pleasing, fear of disappointing others, needing reassurance before decisions, difficulty with boundaries, constantly checking reactions, changing personality depending on who's around. And socially, a lot of this behaviour gets rewarded, especially online. Social media massively amplifies external referencing. Now people don't just compare themselves to family, friends and colleagues. Now it's millions of people, millions of opinions, millions of reactions, millions of performances. And slowly people begin outsourcing identity to the crowd. How should I act? What should I think? What version of me gets accepted? What version of me gets engagement? The nervous system never fully rests because it's constantly scanning externally for calibration. And this is where it gets really interesting psychologically. Most people think they're making conscious decisions. A lot of the time they're making emotionally regulated decisions, meaning they choose whatever reduces discomfort fastest, not necessarily what aligns them most deeply. That's why people stay in relationships too long, in jobs too long, in identities too long, in environments they've already outgrown. Because external referencing says maintain connection at all costs, even if the cost is yourself. I think many people don't actually fear failure. They fear social rejection. That's different. Failure is practical. Rejection feels existential to the nervous system. And if someone becomes heavily externally referenced, they slowly lose the ability to hear themselves clearly, because every internal signal gets overridden by external noise. And honestly, I think markets expose this beautifully. Because markets don't care about your emotional content or comfort. The market doesn't reward panic, overreaction, desperation, or emotional impulsivity. It exposes it. That's why volatile environments reveal nervous system conditioning so quickly. Some people watch every candle emotionally. Every move feels personal. Every dip feels threatening. Every pump creates euphoria. That's not just trading behaviour. That's nervous system behaviour. The same externally referenced patterns show up everywhere. Relationship, social settings, business, identity, performance, money. The environment changes. The pattern doesn't. And this is why calm becomes so powerful. Because calm people often become internally referenced. Not cold, not detached, not arrogant, anchored. There's a difference. Internally referenced people still care about others, but they stop outsourcing identity to reactions. They stop abandoning themselves just to maintain approval. That changes everything. The way they speak changes, the way they move changes, the way they tolerate silence changes, the way they make decisions changes. There's less leakage, less grasping, less emotional scrambling. And interestingly, people can feel that shift immediately, even if they can't explain it consciously. I think one of the greatest skills a person can develop is learning to remain connected to themselves while connected to the world. Because isolation isn't the answer, but self-abandonment isn't either. The goal is balance, equilibrium. That's the entire point. And I think many people reach a moment eventually where they realise, I've spent years trying to become understandable to everybody else without first becoming honest with myself. That realisation changes people, because true regulation starts internally, not externally. Not through applause, not through validation, not through being endlessly understood. Internally, quietly, consistently. So maybe the real question becomes, who are you when nobody else is telling you who to be? The goal is not to stop caring. The goal is not to become emotionally shut down. The goal is not isolation. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself in order to be cared for. This is the equilibrium method. Calm, observation, action.